A very, very warm welcome to yet another Kumekucha video. Information and analysis that is very difficult to find anywhere else. I recommend that you subscribe and you hit the bell button so that you receive notifications every time I have a new video. Karibu sana and enjoy.
22nd of August, the Ipsos polling organization asked Kenyans which politicians in your country they believe to be corrupt. People were asked, and this is the question, of all the current and past but alive political leaders you can think of, which one do you think is the most corrupt? Guess who came out on top?
Your guess is as good as mine.
You. 33% chose you.
Absolutely.
William Ruto.
Yes.
Why do you think you are seen by so many Kenyans as being the epitome of a corrupt politician?
If you look at that list, they put William Ruto, they put a former president, they put the current president, they put the current prime minister, the former prime minister. Largely, all the political leaders that exist today in Kenya were in that list, in that order.
And what does that tell us about the political culture in your
country? That tells
country?
you that the whole corruption narrative has been politicized. That is what it boils down.
That's not what it tells me. It tells me that your citizens have absolutely no faith in all of the words that you and others give to me about your pledge to clean up the country, to deliver on anti-corruption. They don't believe a word of it.
We have the fight against corruption on the eyeball. And I want to tell you that the country today believes strongly that this government, this administration, is serious about the fight against corruption.
Tell me about the Weston Hotel.
There are results that are clearly bearing fruit. The number of prosecutions, the number of convictions, if they are anything to go by, it tells you that the country has changed the trajectory on matters to do with corruption.
Tell me about the Weston Hotel, which you own, which is worth an awful lot of money and which is sitting on illegally acquired land.
Weston Hotel is a big story.
It is. Kenyans are following it very closely, and it may be why you're top of that poll.
You will want to believe that Weston Hotel occupies half of Nairobi. Weston Hotel sits on 0.7 hectares of land.
Illegally acquired land.
70,000
which actually belongs to the Civil Aviation Authority, and then you miraculously acquired it and built a hotel.
For your information, Weston Hotel was bought.
Illegally?
Not bought illegally. In fact, for the record, the National Land Commission has made a finding that Weston was an innocent purchaser for value from somebody who got it illegally. And reparations have been made constitutionally to restore that land to Kenya Civil Aviation Authority.
Yesterday, Deputy President William Ruto was interviewed. He was interviewed on the famous Hardtalk, BBC's Hardtalk television series. And a lot of very interesting and fascinating things emerged from that interview, which is available online on YouTube. And so if you have not taken it in yet, I suggest you do. But even if you haven't and maybe don't have the time, I'll give you the highlights. And also in this same video series, I will talk about the attack from ODM officials against the Deputy President. The officials have said that the Deputy President had a hidden agenda in London, that he has gone there as part of his effort to frustrate a referendum ever taking place in Kenya. The insinuation is that the Deputy President wants things to remain the same. He wants tribal tensions going into the 2022 presidential elections, and that is how he's going to win them. Is there any truth in this? In this what they said? What did they actually mean? We'll go into that. But first, let's deal with the BBC interview. Now, the Hardtalk show on BBC has gained a reputation over the years. It has gained a reputation, as the name suggests, for being very hard on visitors they host, pressurizing them with the questions, asking them very hard questions. And of course, the whole objective is that when you put somebody under pressure, a leader, a political leader, and you ask them hard questions, finally the truth comes out. It is like a hostile lawyer cross-examining a witness in court. They know that if they provoke that witness, if they provoke them in a certain way, they will blurt out the truth, which will save their client. And indeed, this has happened very many times. For instance, you get a witness who's a racist and is insisting he's not a racist. And in the course of the questions, you provoke them, and suddenly, without them knowing, their hatred comes out. The hatred of a certain race. And they may say something like, that nigger did something very bad. And immediately, everybody will realize that whatever that witness says, they are racist. They hate blacks. This is the thinking behind this very popular BBC show. And everybody who accepts to go on the show is very much aware of this. Now, the reason why I felt it necessary to clarify this is that recently the same show hosted a leading Tanzanian politician, Tundu Lissu. And I had people commenting and saying, that interview was too hard. It was too hard on him. And yet it's like this, etc., etc. No, the interview was not being hard. That is the format of the show. And the reason I've explained. And the truth is, it works. A vast majority of the time, it works. And the audience is able to get a very clear picture of the real person behind the particular guest who's being interviewed. The audience gets a glimpse beyond the well-prepared political speeches and statements. So how did the Deputy President fare on this particular Hardtalk show? That should be the question on the minds of the vast majority of Kenyans. Well, in my view, even the Deputy President's staunchest supporters will agree that it did not go too well. This is not the Deputy President's strong point. When it comes to interviews, let alone the Hardtalk show, interviews with the foreign media, the Deputy President is always struggling. DP Ruto performs best when he's fielding questions in a press conference. Holding a press conference, maybe reading or issuing a brief statement, and then fielding questions. That's where he seems to shine most. But if you go back and review all his interviews with the foreign press, most of them do not go well. The reason? The Deputy President is very temperamental. He easily loses it. He can very easily lose his temper. And indeed, his temper is the subject of legend. Foreign journalists always seem to rub him up the wrong way. Now, I have no doubt that this has been noted by his handlers, those close to him. Why do I know that? Because during the Hardtalk interview, you could see very clearly that the Deputy President was struggling to keep his cool. This came out very clearly, even in his body language. This is also a very popular interrogation technique, as old as time. Because everybody knows it is human nature. When somebody loses their temper, they tend to blurt out the truth. Now, I have to say that the interviewer, Stephen Saka, did not do his homework. He did not do enough research about the true situation in Kenya. This came out very clearly on his questions on the state of human rights abuses in the country, which is what he started the interview with. And when Saka, the interviewer, jumped into the issue of terrorist attacks in Kenya, it was very clear to anybody who understands Kenya well that the man did not have his ducks in a row. For instance, he had the golden opportunity to bring up the wall. There's a wall being constructed in the border between Kenya and Somalia. he had the perfect golden opportunity to bring up the issue of the wall, and how effective the government expects that wall to be, in limiting terrorist attacks into Kenya. Now, that would have been a very interesting debate, because as we all know, there's another wall which is dominating world news, the wall which President Trump wants to build on the border with Mexico, on the United States of America border with Mexico. You know, history has shown us that sometimes walls built to keep out people tend to produce very surprising results. Sometimes results that are the very opposite or that are in the wrong direction of what is trying to be achieved. Kenyans are very emotional about Somalia, with good reason, because of the terror attacks. So it is difficult for most to grasp the historical background to this wall being built at the border with Somalia. Actually, it is not very different from trying to build a wall separating the Maasai in Kenya and the Maasai in Tanzania, for instance. Because you have many Maasai families who have land on both sides of the border. They have land in Kenya and they have land in Tanzania. Anyway, that is a very hot topic for another day. But the highlight of the Hardtalk interview, which in my view painted the presidential candidate William Ruto in very poor light, was when Stephen Saka brought up the issue of DP Ruto's net worth. Now, this issue of net worth is always a very sensitive issue for any rich man, and the deputy president is extremely, immensely wealthy. And in my view, if you're a rich man and you don't want too many questions asked, like is the norm, then stay out of public life. Stay out of politics. Because the times we live in, especially the situation right now in Kenya, is that if you're a wealthy man and you're in politics, you're doomed. Even if you earned your wealth through the right way, you did not indulge in corruption, you did not steal public funds, even if that is the case, public scrutiny will always want to paint you in poor light, will always want to associate you with corruption. And it is much worse for the deputy president, because everybody knows he hails from very humble beginnings. And everybody knows he got very wealthy very suddenly. And for those who watched this particular interview, Hardtalk interview, they will know for sure that Stephen Saka on this topic completely cornered the deputy president. Saka insisted that the deputy president reveals his net worth. After all, he's a public servant, and Kenyans need to know. They deserve to know. The deputy president flatly refused, and this is part of the pressure that culminated in the deputy president blurting out the fact that actually Weston Hotel, his Weston Hotel, is built on land that was illegally acquired. Now, it is one thing for the National Land Commission to pass such a ruling, because that is precisely what their ruling was, that the land on which the Weston Hotel is built was actually illegally acquired. But it's quite another matter, for the owner of that land, the deputy president himself, to admit, on a show, on a show which is broadcast worldwide. Now, of course, in mitigation, what the deputy president said is that there were victims, that they actually acquired that particular plot from the person who initially illegally acquired it. They were innocent buyers. Now, if I were the deputy president, I would never, ever have gone in that direction, for the simple reason that it is not a proper legal defense. It cannot stand up legally anywhere as a defense in a court of law. Never ever. Let me simplify this. Somebody sells you land which they've acquired illegally, meaning that that land does not actually belong to them. So they sell you land that does not belong to them, and the matter ends up in court. What will the court do? will the court treat you as a buyer as innocent? Will the court then grant that you retain the illegal land? Of course not. No way. Indeed, the same legal system in Kenya will jail you if you buy a cow, for instance, a stolen cow from somebody. You are treated as an accomplice to the theft. And so, saying that you are sold land that somebody had acquired illegally and you are innocent buyers, and therefore you should retain the said piece of land will never, ever in 100 years fly anywhere legally. And quite rightly so, the headline that has dominated Kenya in the last few days is the one saying that the Deputy President has admitted the land was illegally acquired. It really doesn't matter by who. What people are really focusing on is that that illegally acquired land is in the hands of the Deputy President at the moment. And he has built a beautiful hotel called Weston Hotel on that land. Now in part 2 of this video, we will dive into the issue, very hot, controversial issue, of the remarks of ODM officials who have come out and said that the motives of the Deputy President are not good. They are not good for the country. That's precisely what they said in a nutshell. And in part 2 of this video, we will break that down. And the results are totally amazing. So make sure you don't miss it. As soon as that video is ready, you'll see the link on the top left-hand corner of your screen when you come to the end of the video. If you don't see it, it means the video is not yet ready. Come back after a while, it will be there. I look forward to seeing you there in a bit. This is Kshs, Kumekucha.